Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start on a project to decal and weather this Railbox car. So I'm going to take it off of this train. I'm sure CSX won't miss it for the time being. So, okay, this is of course a Railbox. Let's see. So it's Railbox 35891 is the number, and I believe this was Athearn. I'm pretty sure, but since the name is not on, I don't see the name on the bottom. But anyway, that's going to be my current project. I was working on this bus, but I gotta wait for them to send me passengers I ordered through the mail. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is gonna take the shell off. I have my little tool here to do that, made by it's chip litter in Germany. It's a little tiny, just pops it right out. It's a very useful little tool that came with a snap-on set that I bought. As you can see, I got my weights and I got my crates already in there. And I'll of course be taking the wheels off too a little bit later and doing those. But for now I'm going to decal the front right here. So now all I got to do is choose which decals that I want on the side. Or should I just pick them blindly and whatever randomly? I think I'm going to put that Bobcat one. I think I'm going to put some off of this one. That's what I'm just going to take them off of that because I kind of like it. Doesn't, you know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, graffiti's graffiti, right? It doesn't have to be in any special kind of order because unless you got one guy doing some graffiti on a boxcar and he has a special project in mind, he keeps returning to it or to add something to it. But I think it's usually done by several different people at different times in different yards, different locations. So get these decals out here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Now let's put it in the warm water. Let it soak for under a minute and slide it right off and right onto the model like I'm supposed to. Okay, I put it on. Now I'm going to blot it a little bit. With this towel. I'm going to have to let this dry 12 hours, but I've got other things to work on. I'm not going to use a dryer because I've got plenty of other things to work on, and there is no hurry. So I guess I don't even think I have a blow dryer right now in my possession. So there it is. Doesn't look too bad, does it? I don't think so. So we're going to apply. We're going to put some little bit of this Solvaset on there, okay? And it actually needs slide it over. I can't actually do that after I put on some of this. But you have to be very careful, I know, because you can... I don't think I'm going to slide it over, no, because you see that spot there? No, it's going to stay where it's at. It's going to stay right where it's at. Of course, what this does is it gets the decal to sink down into every single little groove to hold really tight and look more realistic, like it's actually painted on the model. So there you have it, and that we'll let that dry. But meantime, I'm going to put another one on, and so I'm going to put a few more on, just like this one. I'm going to put one on this side. I'm going to actually put them on all four sides, so I'll be back after I'm finished with that. Okay, there are the four decals. Here's the first one I put on. Here's the second one. And I put one here and one here. This all, of course, you know, while the car is right out of the box. Of course, I've been using it for a while, so it's not right out of the box, but I just started getting into weathering and all that, so, but I've been using it on my layout. I'm starting to weather my box cars and rolling stock. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fine point Sharpie, and it's just one of my ideas. I'm going to try to draw, you know, write something, you know, maybe sideways or on an angle somewhere, and then as soon as I do that, I'll be back to show you the results. Okay, I'm back, and this is what I finished. I wrote that on there, a little bit of graffiti with a black marker. Drew this little stick person here, wrote something on here, Wuzzle Express with a silver Sharpie. These I did with a black Sharpie. I finished these two decals, this decal, and wrote Fuzzy 9 up here, and just scribbled a name up in here, wrote UFO over here, a little bit of, so I got a little star over here. You know, it's just randomly drawing stuff. So I mean, that's what these cars look like after they're in the rail yards for a while, or whatever they're parked at the sidings. So now I'm going to take off the trucks. I'm going to show you something that I purchased from Walther's catalog. After I get these wheels off, these trucks off. Okay. Alright. After I do the trucks, I'm also going to paint this undercarriage. Maybe like a dark brown or some kind of a camouflage brown color. But what I did was, about a month ago, I bought this. It's a paint mask where you put the wheels inside so that the paint doesn't get onto the treads of the wheels. I can see these wheels are dirty anyway, but so I just easily slip them in here before I paint them. And this is a painting mask. It comes unassembled. It's about $10. In case you're looking for one, this is the company that makes some laser kit model builders, and it just comes in a package like this. It's just called a wheel holder for HO, and there are different ones for different size wheels. Just there's 33 and there's 36. So okay, I've got the trucks off. I'm also going to be painting the trucks. And I don't know, well, first I need to clean these off with alcohol. Take some rubbing alcohol. I'm going to dip this in some rubbing alcohol, 70% isopropyl, and just take it and just go around the inside of the wheel. That's to remove any oils or anything, you know, that may have been on there when you bought it, or it's still on there, or just usually, you know, when they come out of the factory, sometimes they might have a little bit of oily substance on them. So just to be on the safe side so that the paint adheres properly, you probably want to do this. Dry that off a little. Okay. Now I want to take, after I've already, of course, put them into the mask, like this. I'm going to take, and I mean, you can do it either way. You can spray paint them. You might want to cover these axle ends. If you do that, you can spray paint, do the axles, and do the wheel face. Leave the rim around the front because those rims stay clean because of the train car going through the retarders at the hump yards. But I'm going to use rail tie brown for this particular model, and so I'm using Flowquill enamel paint marker. I mean, you know, this is just the way I do it. You can do it any way you want, but shake this up pretty good here. Okay. Just take it and just go around the inside like that. Make sure you get it nice and coated. So it looks like that. And then you'll want to do the inside here. I mean, you can use it out of a bottle. You can use it with a paintbrush, whatever you want to do. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But I'm going to do this step by step and show you how I do it. Of course, you do the whole insides of the wheel like this, and the axle, so that the whole thing is that color. And I'm going to stop the camera while I do the rest, and I'll continue in a minute. Okay, now I'm going to paint the trucks, and I'm going to paint them with the Testors Polyscale. What is this Polyscale here? It's Flowquill. Testors Flowquill railroad colors, railroad tie brown. Use a regular brush like this, and if you look on the top of this bottle, you'll see I have this plastic. What that is, this is a very good idea that I got from watching a Dream Plan Build Model Railroader DVD. You go out and buy those fruit roll-ups, and they're rolled up in these plastic sheets, and they break apart real easily, and you just take one and put it over top of this before you close it, and they say that the paint, I believe you have to turn it upside down. If you're storing it over a long period of time, it can keep up to 15 years. So that's a good little tip to save yourself some money on paint. I'm just gonna go across the truck like this. Okay. Lightly. Same on the inside. You can go right over where the axle holes are. It won't go in there. You just go right over it, skim right over the top of those. And as well as the bottom here, you paint that too. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'm going to try not to paint this, the top of the little bearing there where the truck spins on the train chassis, the freight car chassis. But just take and just pass your brush over like that, and it comes out really nice. So, and don't worry if you don't get the whole thing. You know, I'm going to go over this with weathering powder, so you can just go ahead and go over top of it with weathering powder too. So I think I got a little bit in there. And that one, I think I have to clean that out. Let's take this and towel and this all here. See if I can get that out of there, because I don't want. I can always get it out with the Micro Mark truck tuner, so it's not really a problem. So like I said, you know, I mean, the color is not, you know, we're not finished with it yet. I mean, that's the way it looks. When it dries, it's probably lighter than that, I guess. But like I said, I'm going to go over it with some weathering powders later. So I'm going to go ahead and get this side here. Okay, what I did, and I didn't mention this before, was I took a pencil and stuck it up through that truck, and that's a good way to hold it while you're painting. Make sure it's pushed down pretty good. And when you're painting the other side, you might want to hold it up this way so you don't accidentally push it, or you can hold your finger up there, I don't know, whatever, if you got 3 hands, right? So, or you can actually set it on the table maybe, like this. No, well, anyway, it worked. So the next step, I'm gonna let this stuff dry, and then I'll be back to do the next step. Okay, so I'm gonna let all this stuff sit for now and dry. I'm gonna let the car dry for 12 hours. This doesn't take 12 hours to dry, these wheels, but I'm gonna just let everything sit here now. My trucks are here. And then I will return to this project in 12 hours approximately and continue this video. Okay, I'm working outside now today, and I got my cat here. He seems to want to visit me and hang out with me while I'm doing this. What I'm going to do is take some of this frog tape for this particular, come on, move over, buddy, for this particular project with the Railbox Boxcar. I finished the shell. As you can see, I've got some graffiti I did with a silver Sharpie and the decals, and on this side here, some writing with a black Sharpie and a black and a silver Sharpie. And on the end, I've weathered it a bit, and I put some stuff over here. Wrote my own graffiti and put the graffiti decals, and put the Salva set and sprayed some dull coat. It actually made some of this stuff run. It makes it look more realistic. I wrote something there, Wuzzle Express. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask out the inside of the boxcar, which I have some crates here and I got my weights on there, and I'm going to mask out the crates, and I'm going to spray the inside with this. It's actually rusty metal primer. It's like a light brown color, semi-medium brown, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to go with some dull coat, and then we'll go from there. Okay, everything is masked out, and the entire Railbox car is maxed out, and I'm just going to do some light painting on the inside. I've closed the doors so I don't get any paint, you know, on the exterior of it, and I masked it out with frog tape, and I did the same here with the load, the crate load that's on the the floor of the box car. So I'm going to paint that, and I'm going to go ahead and paint this part too. I'll have to tape up the couplers, of course, and then I'll be back with the next part. The inside of the box car is painted, and it's pretty much, this paint, this Rust-Oleum rusty metal primer pretty much dries so that you can touch it in about 15 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to take the tape off of there. This I only put one coat on everything, and you really don't need any more than that. You can, especially under here, because I'm going to weather this with some black soot powder, chalk powder. So really, that's all. So I'm going to take the tape, go ahead and take the tape off of this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and screw these trucks back on. As you can see, I've done them in the rail tie brown, and the trucks and the wheels. And I'm going to go ahead and screw them back on. This is the bottom, the finished product where I painted. Took off the tape, got very little paint, just a teeny bit of brown down here on this side, and I can probably get most of that off. No big deal. I gotta glue that back on. That obviously that came off. What I'm gonna do is screw the couplers, the trucks back on. Now, let's see here. I got a little bit of word to the wise. When you take these trucks off, put these screws in a piece of tape or something. Don't ask me about that, because I've had experiences with trying to carry screws around with other things in my hand, and then getting to my destination, finding out the screws are not there anymore, and there's nothing like having to backtrack yourself through the whole yard or house looking for a tiny screw like that. Okay? So don't ask me how I know that, but of course you know how I know that. So just do yourself a favor and just put them in a piece of tape or put them inside of something so they don't get lost. I'm sure you could probably order them or find them, but they're not that easy to find, because I've looked for screws like that in Home Depot and all those places and could not find them. Actually, I'm going to go over this with a dull coat, and I'm going to take these trucks back off. I'm just putting them on right now so I can show you how I'm going to put some weathering on them. And then I'm kind of doing this in reverse. I'm actually going to take them off and weather the bottom, but you can do it however you want. Probably should weather the bottom first, the undercarriage, but since okay, now the trucks are on there. Now I'm going to take okay, now this is something that I learned online on a YouTube channel called TSG Multimedia, I believe, or TGS Multimedia. It's either one or the other. And I watched the weathering video they had. Basically, I took some of this. I don't know what kind of paint he uses, but I'm using this Americana acrylic paint, which was from Michael's Arts and Crafts store, and it's a real light gray. It's actually gray sky. So I'm put my brush in, just take a little bit out. Actually, that's too much. Just dip your brush in it and really wipe most of it off of your brush, okay? This is called dry brushing. That you would know this from this technique, from it's common technique. But I watched his video and I really liked it. So you're going to dry most of that off. And you're going to take it and just go across here a little bit, say. Across the wheels. And the trucks. And what that does is it highlights the little parts on there. The tiny little details, all the little details that are on there, it just like, highlights them, you know. You just do that. Now you can spin the wheel and do that. See, okay, the wind blew away my paper towel, I see. Anyway, you do that with a wheel, you spin it. Okay, then after that, I'm going to go with the chalks next. You take the chalks. This whole process I'm doing here, like I said, this whole thing was from TSG Multimedia, and I'm going to take some. I weather my own stuff with chalks. I have my own things, own ways, but this is from something I got from them. You take some of this brown. Okay, I don't have too much of it left. After you go with the gray, and you kind of go over it with that. Just like spin the wheel. I really am running low on this chalk. But that's what I'm going to do. You just go across the truck like so, like this. And you spin that wheel and just put some in there like that. Or however you want to do it. And you do that with all 4 trucks. Okay, here's the finished car. And what I did was I went ahead and took a micro brush, which is a little brush that looks just like this. You can get them in Hobby Lobby, probably Michael's. I took that brush and I spun the wheels, and I went on them on the inside of the wheel with Dust Bowl Brown, then medium rust, and then Dust Bowl Brown again, so that I didn't get one specific distinct color, but kind of, you know, a lot of little colors mixed together. I did the springs with some rust, some medium rust, and I went ahead and did the couplers after I sprayed them with dull coat. I sprayed the whole chassis with dull coat, and then that reminds me, make sure you use rubber gloves or surgical gloves when you do this, because you will leave fingerprints, especially on the car, the shell of the. I didn't use gloves for the rest of it really because it's underneath. But I did grimy black in the powder over top of the Rust-Oleum brown, and then I went over the trucks with, like I said, weathered brown, medium rust on the springs, and a little bit more brown here and there on these trucks. And I did the inside, weathered the inside of the crates a little bit. I messed up and got a little bit of brown paint on one of the crates, but whatever happens, you know. That's this side of the car, and you know, it has a realistic look inside and out now. If you go to the other side, let's see if I can open the door here on the other side. That's what it basically looks like inside. Like, it has a crate load and it's weathered, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. I really am. It's the first car that I've done in this manner, and it really came out nice. I didn't even use an airbrush. Warning to the wise here, I don't know about using frog tape, because I used frog tape and I almost pulled off one of these graffiti decals when I did so. So started to pull off a little, but it's fine, it stayed on. So that's it. And because I dull coated it with the wheels on, I'm going to have to go and take a Bright Boy, spin these wheels, clean them off completely so it doesn't get on my track, and maybe go inside the trucks with the Micro Mark tuner a little bit and get out a little bit of the junk that film might have got in there. I don't know. But that's the finished product, and I'm really happy with the way that came out. I'm absolutely really happy with it. And that's about it. I'm going to stop the video now. This is the end of this session. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to mention. That's about it. You can always go over it again with more chalk if you want. You know, if you do it this way.